Jay, do not think it's hyperbole. Hyperbole. I said it right, hyperbole.
You got it the second time. The first time was a little stumble, but
to say that Steven Kwan has gone from arguably the worst hitter in baseball from April to June to now the best, excluding power hitters because home runs count, power hitter in baseball since the start of July. You can see the numbers on your screen. He had a sub-6 OPS from April to June, a .212 batting average.
Yeah.
Since July, he has an OPS of .933 despite having one home run. He's a singles hitter with a OPS close to 1,000. Jay, how has this happened? What have you seen that's different from Steven Kwan? And is there any comparison to what he's doing?
I thought about it. You know, the sample size isn't 8 games or 12 games or even a month. It's really April, May, and June. Pathetic. And July and August, Mike just said it, the best contact hitter on base guy probably in the sport right now. So that is a dramatic turnaround that I'm sure has happened. I'm sure this isn't unparalleled, unprecedented, but I can't readily think of one. And how he's done it is he's stopped trying to be a home run hitter. When you're coming up on a contract, a player like him has a ceiling, a glass ceiling. And what's that number? I don't know. Is it $15 million a year? Maybe it's $20 million a year because of the defense, but it's not $35 million a year. Right. And so what piece was missing to get him to that number? And I think the conversation was probably between his agent and himself. And his agent wisely pointed out, you just got to improve those power numbers. I mean, if you're hitting 7, 8 home runs, you're always going to be limited on your salary and your value to a team. You get that number up to 20, maybe 25. Now you can start pushing, and a team might be able to squint and see you getting to 30. And so that's how you increase your ultimate value on the free agent market. And I think he was trying that, and he was stuck in it. And we've had conversations on this show, like he's not a Major League Baseball player right now, other than his defense. I didn't know what happened. I had hypothesized that I think he needs glasses. I don't think he can see anymore because once upon a time, he was the hardest guy in baseball to strike out. This year, the guys were striking him out on pitch. They were throwing pitches that weren't even in the strike zone, and they were striking him out.
Right.
But now he's slowed down. He's gone back to doing what he does best, which is go the other way. And that means he's letting the ball travel further, and he's getting a look at ball or strike, and then he's jumping on it. And he's not quick enough to turn on those pitches, but he's like almost like a mini Ichiro. He does a lot of things like Ichiro in that he lets the ball travel, and then he could just slap it the other way. Now, Ichiro could stand in batting practice and just go one after another home run. So he had that ability and that power. And I think that's been the distinction between the two. And I'm not comparing, I'm not saying Kwan is Ichiro, but what I'm saying is they had similar qualities. There is a spot in baseball for a guy like Steven Kwan on a winning team. I could see why the Dodgers were so enamored with him last year. Put him in the Dodgers lineup. You've got a rock solid outfielder that's going to win you a Gold Glove. You now have a guy who is going to draw as many. He walked 3 times in a game last week. 3. He just sat there and just kept looking. I'm not going to swing if you're not going to throw it over the plate. And they didn't, and he didn't. So to me, he's finally returned to form, and I think what led to it was he no longer tried to be a home run hitter.
I will go back to the beginning of the year when he was going through his struggles. And Jay, you say some crazy stuff. That's not breaking news.
I mean,
and one of the things you told me off air, and you were like, I think the ABS system, Kwan is not seeing the strike zone as well as he used to.
Yeah.
And I thought you were crazy at the time, but now I really think that's part of what it was. Where he's such a cerebral player, thinking like, okay, I'm not going to swing at anything that's just even remotely outside the strike zone. And then as soon as you start getting some of those challenges wrong, you start to question, do I know where the strike zone is?
He got all of it. He was
awful,
losing challenge after challenge, and then I think someone must have told him, "Hey, stop it."
The whole team. They challenged early. They used all their challenges in the first 2 innings, and then when they really needed them, they didn't have them because they kept losing.
Yeah.
But I think he started to see the strike zone better, simplify instead of try to overcomplicate it. And to your point, maybe he was going for the power numbers because he wanted the big bag that's coming, and he's a slap hitter. He's going to get a lot of hits. He's going to get on base. He is a key part of a winning franchise. Is he going to be a $500 million contract guy? No.
Never.
But he doesn't have to be. He can be a really good baseball player, and he is.
He's proven that he is a year in, year out Gold Glove outfielder. He just is playing center field this year.
Right.
He's been phenomenal.
I mean, if he had a better offense behind him, he would lead the league in runs scored.
He would.
It was not himself, Jay, and you're right. I think you're probably right. I wondered if it was maybe something physically that was not allowing him to be the same hitter. It could easily have been mentally, but he just wasn't.
Yeah.
And so in June, we started...
Any indication that there was any injuries? Whispers?
No, because the only times he sat out is when he just was slumping so badly that he needed a day off or needed to go down to hit ninth.
I mean, he hasn't been limping.
Right.
They haven't said a word about it. Now, that doesn't mean that it's not there. A lot of times when a season ends, they'll say, oh, he's going in for shoulder surgery. He's been playing with his bum shoulder all year. We just didn't find out about it.
Yeah. No, I think a lot of guys in this lineup do press from time to time because you feel like you have to. But we started to see in late June the better at-bats, the typical Steven Kwan at-bats. And so is he going to be 933 OPS for the rest of this year in career? Probably not. But every time he comes up, you're like, okay, this guy has a really good chance to get on base. All the pressure, is all of a sudden on the pitcher, on the defense, because he'll go opposite field. He'll hit it down like he's back to being himself, whether it's physical or mental or maybe a combination.
Can I ask you a question not related to Steven Kwan? How do we get Jose Ramirez back?
Well, we're starting to see some signs, which is coincides.
The other night he had 3 doubles, 5 RBI. Big piece in that.
You have to think that one's physical, and he's just getting more comfortable with whatever percentage his hand is or whatever discomfort he's feeling. He's adjusting. That's my theory.
Did you guys see? I think it was the first game in the Angels series. It may have been the second. He threw the bat again. It went flying out of his hands on a swing. And that's a Hosey thing. We've seen him do that throughout his career, but it's always been related to the hand. And when he did that,
if he's having trouble
I immediately said, uh-oh, that hand isn't right. And I don't think it's been right all along. I had said in preseason or in spring training that I think we're going to see Hosey take a step back this year. This is probably the year that he gets old. It happens to everybody. And I had said that after just watching him for 4 days and seeing that the pop wasn't there. He looked different. He didn't look like he normally looked. And then it carried over into the season and then the surgery. And he hasn't hit a home run in how long? When was his last home run, Mike? June?
I will look it up.
It's been forever. Now, granted, he missed a lot of time with the injury.
Might be before the injury.
I mean, I'm almost certain he's not homered since he's come back.
Yeah, I don't think he has.
And you're right, we are starting to see signs of...
His last home run was June 6th.
Okay, there you go. So you're talking all of June, all of July. Now, granted, he missed 5 weeks or whatever it was, and all of August, and he hasn't homered. Jose Ramirez hasn't homered since June 6th?
Right.
That's
been back
the question
for 5
we
weeks
should be
now,
asking.
full time, right?
Yeah, and so that's the question we should be asking. I don't think he's right. Now, I think the question or the decision that they've made is, I'll take 60% of Hosey.
Sure.
And I will too, because he runs the bases so well. But he has done things this year with the glove. He hasn't been Hosey with the glove. He's made a few base running mistakes that were very uncharacteristic. Now, I know he's aggressive, and aggressive guys are going to make mistakes, but he's done some things where I'm like, wow, I've never seen Hosey do that before. And then at the plate, he can't lay off the high fastball, and he can't catch up to it.
No.
And so that, to me, how many times have we seen him in the last month strike out? He goes back to the dugout, he's going like this. Like, he knows he's not right. We all know he's not right. And that's another reason why I don't think they're going to make an October run, because he's your best player. He's supposed to be your best player, and he's a shell of himself right now.
The difference with him right now is if he is 60%, if it is a physical thing, that's going to take time. He's not going to do that.
It's going to take another offseason.
It's going to take an offseason.
Yeah.
But now you have a Chase DeLauder. Now you have a Joe Adell. Now you have guys who have power behind him. So, yeah, ideally, you need Hall of Famer Jose Ramirez to probably go to the World Series and have a chance to win. But now he can adjust to what he is and be a double hitter instead of a home run hitter, or just get on base. And there are bats behind him that have a chance to bring him in. Where in the past it's been, if Jose doesn't do it, nobody does.
But even with that, because Jose's never been good in the postseason. He just hasn't.
Awful.
I mean, I hate to say that, but he's vastly underachieved in his playoff career. And he's had a lot of at-bats. It's not like, he's had small sample size. He just has never been that guy in the playoffs for whatever reason. It's okay for Kwan not to be Kwan and some of these other guys not to be, and I know we do have guys here that can pick up the slack, but if Jose Ramirez isn't Jose Ramirez, we're not making the run.
I think the hope lies right now in that he has had a breakthrough, whether he's adjusting to it or feeling healthier or doing something differently. Maybe it's just not pressing, because he isn't the same.
You hearing any whispers that Ralphie's going to see the bigs this year? I mean, all these reasons not to bring him up are losers' mentality. I'll just say that before.
And
we
the
get
more
into
you
them.
win, The more you win, the more interesting this discussion gets. Right?
And the more he hits 3 home runs a game in AAA.
Wasn't it? I don't know what he's done the last
He had
couple of days.
16 homers
16
in
and
20 games.
16 and 20.
He did-
Who the hell's done that at any level?
I remember when we went down last year to AAA to Columbus and talked to Chase DeLauder before we thought he was coming up. And in batting practice, he hit a home run off the scoreboard and right in Columbus. I
Yeah.
said, "You done that in a game yet?" And he goes, "No, I really wish I could, but haven't gotten a hold of one." Ralphie's done it on several times, and I've seen highlights. I go, "Oh, he hit one off the scoreboard. Chase said he couldn't do it, and this guy's doing it routinely."
Not that this is a reason to bring him up, but if you're into trading cards, baseball cards, go look at the value of Ralphie. Go check it out. Good luck buying one under $500.
The buyers are in, yeah.
Everybody knows this kid is next. He's down there. We're in a pennant race, and we're not going to bring him up because, well, we don't want this to start. We don't want that, and we could strike next year, and then we don't, losers mentality. He is one of the best bats in your entire organization. Bring him up.
Agree wholeheartedly.
All right. Well, we've settled that.
No argument on that one.
We got a new game segment coming up next.
I can't wait.
Where we are going to rank some of our favorite head coach quarterback combos.